What's up, everyone? We're still at Comic-Con 2023, talking about a whole bunch of stuff that I love. I have the pleasure of sitting next to Robert Kirkman to discuss Invincible, which I told you, I was late to the game on this. Show's incredible.
Hey,
Show's
you came
incredible.
around in the end. It's all fine.
That's what matters.
Thank you so much.
It's like, that's the silver lining of having a 2-year wait, is that I had all that time to catch up, and I did it eventually. I did it
yes,
right in
the
time.
2-year wait was a good thing. We should do that between every season. That's a good idea.
No, you shouldn't. I'm going to get to that in a minute. First, just a broad question about season 1. Is there any particular element of the first season that surprised you, that fans sparked to, that you decided to more heavily embrace in the second season?
Oh my gosh. Lord, I have so many joke answers. There's so many memes, but I don't want to get in trouble. But I don't know. I mean, I think that, you know, the real, like, you know, it's a character drama at its core. And I think that the fact that people responded to that so much, I was worried that maybe the audience would say, I need more fighting, there needs to be more action, like this thing slows down too much. And I wanted the show to feel like an hour-long cable drama that, you know, had its cool action and was a superhero story, but, you know, made you really feel for the characters and their journey. And just to have everybody respond to that was great. So there's absolutely not even one fight scene in season 2. It's spectacular.
You really do every single layer. The drama, the fight, and the blood and gore in, I mean, they all line up especially well, where you feel
Don't
like
forget the weird bits of comedy.
That as well. I appreciate all of it. All right, I want to go back to the timeline, because again, it's been a 2-year wait since season 1.
Yes.
So why the wait? Is it just the animation process? Are there any particular bumps in the road that caused it? Maybe something like COVID?
It's 3 things. It's the animation process, which is difficult in and of itself. 2, very complicated show. We have a larger cast than you might see in any other show. We're an hour-long cable show, or we're an hour-long animated show, which is very unusual, but we have so many characters and so many settings, even in just one episode, that we're really kind of pushing the limits of what can be done in animation. So it takes a long time to make it, but it has also taken a long time to like learn how to do it and figure it out, because we're doing a lot of things that you don't necessarily do in animation. And 3, COVID. We debuted in 2021, and when we got to pick up for season 2 and 3, we had to kind of figure out, we finished the show like as COVID was starting for season 1, and so we had to like figure out completely new processes to work with all the restrictions that came from that. You know, animation studios were shut down, you know, quite a bit during COVID, because animators work in a lot of cases, large rooms in giant groups. And so we had to figure out like a whole new way of working, and that slowed things down quite a bit. But I'm very happy to report that the process of figuring out all the complexity of the show and building the factory that can generate this show has made it to where this is the longest period that there will be between seasons, so things should move much more smoothly from this point on.
You answered one of my questions, and I like that answer right there.
I like to ramble until I answer as many questions as possible that you might have.
Oh, I'm here for it. So we do know that we are getting season 2, but we're getting it in 2 parts. Is that decision tied to the production process, or is there something about the season 2 storyline that you think will be benefited from having that break in between?
It's a little bit of the production process, just because, you know, ramping things up has taken a lot longer than we thought. But also, this is something that we've done with every season of The Walking Dead, and I think narratively it's kind of cool to have that pause to digest what you've just experienced. And when you see episode 4 of season 2, you may need a break. It's a big episode. It's definitely a mid-season finale kind of episode. And with everything going on in that time of year, with, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, like all, and a lot of family time, I think a lot of shows get lost in the shuffle there. And so I think it's good to take a pause. And narratively, it really it's going to make things hit a little bit harder. So yeah, and people will know what I'm talking about when the season launches.
Okay. Here's my greedy question that you kind of answered. So we can confirm that we won't have as long of a wait before season 3.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I like hearing that, and I know you always have to look forward to the future when planning a series like this. So is there any early development happening on the story beyond season 3 even?
I mean, in my head, I always have plans, and I know exactly like how things would continue. And you know, there's definitely discussions, but you know, nothing I could break here. But yeah, no,
discussions are good.
yeah. Amazon and Prime Video, very happy with the show.
As they should be.
You know, very excited about the possibilities of what we could do were we to have a nice, good, long run. And so there's a lot of discussions around that stuff, and hopefully there'll be some good news at some point.
I always say it. We speak things into existence on the Collider
Yes.
interview set.
Yes.
So I always
I'm
like asking
expecting
stuff like
a
that.
full season 4 through 14 pickup, and if we don't get that, I'll be disappointed.
I mean, it'll be our fault because the manifestation just did not work. I'm here for as many seasons as you want to give us. I jumped a little far ahead, though, because we also know we're getting the Atom Eve origin story in her own standalone episode. Did you always know that origin story episode was going to be for her character? And then also, do you have hopes to do any more similarly styled episodes for other characters in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we did that in the comic. We did an Atom Eve miniseries that was by Benito Cereno and Nate Bellegarde. And, you know, it was a story that I had given them because I needed somebody to establish Atom Eve's backstory because it comes into play in the series proper. And so it's a prequel episode that has her origin, but is absolutely essential to the longevity of the series. Anyone who's read the comic knows what I'm talking about. But Atom Eve becomes a bigger and bigger character as the story of Invincible progresses, and so the stuff that you learn in that episode is very important. So it was always meant to be an Atom Eve episode. She's one of our favorite characters. She's one of the most popular characters in the show, and so you know, we wanted to really give her a showcase. And as far as like doing other episodes with different characters in a similar way, I'd love to. We'll just have to see.
Just for fun, is there any particular, you know, smaller supporting character that you have yet to explore to that extent, even in the comics, that I don't know, you would just love to do like a fun offshoot episode for one day?
I mean, there's so many. It's hard to, I mean, I love Battle Beast. I'd love to do something with Battle Beast. I think that really digging in and Monster Girl's origin is dealt with in the comics a little bit, but to expand it out to this level and actually show like the pathos that comes from like being trapped in that body and being turned into a big monster, like, I don't know, that would be a lot of fun to explore. So, but there's a lot of different characters I'd love to kind of show that spotlight on.
Okay. Well, again, we're going to have 14 seasons, so you have more than enough time to cover it all.
Wait, now I'm tired.
All right, I want to get into the villain a little that you have
Sure.
revealed for season 2, Angstrom Levy. When you talk,
Levy.
oh, is it Levy?
It is Levy.
Oh,
yeah.
I purposely wrote
no,
Levy.
It's fine.
I always,
I only did that because
even with like human beings, I always will say whatever I'm not supposed to say with that particular last name.
No, there's a great split in fandom where they're like, what's this? How's this pronounced? And it's awesome to have this show so that people can finally hear the characters' names, because on paper probably should be Levy.
I've had that with a lot of book to film adaptations where I read it and I read everything in my voice, my way, and then I hear something out loud in a final film and I just can't reprocess the proper way to say it as confirmed by the filmmakers.
Yeah, it's always fun.
What is it about that particular villain that you think at this point in the show's run would serve Invincible's arc well that made you say, like, this is the villain to introduce and we have to do it now?
I think that, I mean, there's a lot to it. A lot of people joke about Invincible hasn't won a fight yet, you know? It's a superhero show. We've had the first season. He's never really definitively like won an actual conflict, which I think is awesome. And so we're going to see him actually start winning in season 2. Maybe not always. And maybe in some ways a win is a loss. And I think that kind of comes into play with Angstrom Levy. It's a villain that he could, if he were able to use his strength, could defeat very easily. But this is going to put him in a place where he has to take the maturity he's developing now that his father's gone and kind of use his skills that he's honed as a superhero in a way. He's going to have to try to outsmart him instead of just beating him up. So it puts him in a position where everything he's learned doesn't really work for him so far.
Okay. Would you describe Angstrom Levy as the big bad of season 2, or is it more one of many adversaries that Invincible will face?
I think he's probably the big bad of season 2, but he's not the only big bad of season 2. So there's a lot going on in the season, but I think that like the Invincible Omni-Man conflict was kind of the through line of the first season. What happens with Angstrom Levy kind of carries over the entire season in a way that some of the other stories don't.
Okay, and in my research, Angstrom Levy has multiverse capabilities.
Yes, indeed.
First, just more broadly, like, what do you think it is about whatever phase we're in storytelling where everyone is obsessed with multiverse?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I didn't know. I don't think I knew about Far From Home or Spider-Verse or maybe Spider-Verse was out. But like when we decided to do this for season 2, I don't know. Like I didn't know that was a Flash movie. So it's literally everywhere. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's a great tool to kind of use to bring different incarnations of things in, which I think is kind of becoming a like I'm going to say easy button. It's like, let's make this cool. Bring that guy from that other thing in here. Bring that guy from that other thing in here. And so it's super cool. And as a fan, I love it. But I will say that we're using Angstrom Levy's multiverse capabilities in a much different way. It's not just about pulling different things that you may love into a story through the multiverse. It's a very character-driven story. There's a lot of drama to it. Seeing the sliding doors aspect of another dimension and finding out like how things went a different way when different decisions were made. We're kind of drilling it down to its simplest form, and it's not this massive, trying not to say the word unwieldy, but whatever, thing.
Okay, I like the sound of all that. This is a little bit of a tough question maybe,
Sure.
but I'm curious, is there anything you wrote for yourself in season 1 that you found yourself having the most challenging time writing yourself out of? Like, or finding the most creative solution to expand that particular plot point in season 2?
Right. I don't think so. I think that we had the comics as a guidepost, which is kind of a cheat code for making a TV show to a certain extent, because you can. It's great. We didn't have this with Walking Dead because the comics weren't done yet, but with Invincible, we can literally read the last issue and go, it might be neat to plant this thing here in season 2 that may come into play if we're lucky enough to get to season 14. So it's. We're kind of following that roadmap to a certain extent. I think there's a lot of deviations that we were able to do in season 1 that it's fun to pick those up and to run with those balls, because we have to kind of do different things because we kind of changed the playbook a little bit in the first season. So there's that aspect of it, but there definitely isn't that brilliant end to that season of Star Trek with Picard as Borg and then sit there for 6 months going, how are we gonna follow this up? I don't know how we're gonna follow this up. We haven't been able to write ourselves into that corner just yet. But
right.
maybe eventually.
It's an exciting creative challenge, I feel like, when you write yourself into a corner and
I
have to
love that
really
stuff.
sit and think about how to write yourself out of it. A season 1 and season 2 question here.
Sure.
Which character of the bunch wound up being more creatively fulfilling to bring to screen in that format in season 1, than you ever could have imagined? But then I also want the answer for season 2. Who surprised you most in the new season?
Season 1, I love Cecil and Donald, and Donald especially. R.I.P. But he just turned out great, and Christy Diamantopoulos, who does Donald's voice, is spectacular. I would marry Walton Goggins if I wasn't already married. I love that guy so much. So his Cecil Stedman is just spectacular. I can't say who plays him because it's a reveal later, but for season 2, the character is Shapesmith. I think Shapesmith, he was a fun character in the comic, and he brought a cool dynamic, and the way he affected the larger Martian storyline was very interesting. But the actor whom I almost just named does so much with him and brings so much to the character. It is just absolutely amazing. And as I'm saying that, I also have to throw out a shout out to Jeffrey Donovan for Machine Head in season 1. He is also another actor that came in and was like, nope, I'm going to make this character 400 times better than you thought it could be. Which, is great. Hey, in the middle of a SAG strike, let's talk about how much these actors bring to these roles, and how absolutely essential they are. Like they really do breathe life into everything in ways that people who aren't behind the scenes could never anticipate. When you hear Jeffrey Donovan playing Machine Head, you may think, oh, that's some good writing. but you never can, like, and writers are great too. I'm a writer. Whatever. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm lost.
Well, cannot emphasize that point nearly enough. What you
Yeah.
do is like pretty much a miracle to bring any show, movie, anything to screen whatsoever, and every single artist, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of them involved in every
Yes.
single project we watch, deserves to be treated fairly for their work and celebrated in a way that makes it makes the experience creatively fulfilling, but
Absolutely.
also makes them feel like they're getting what they deserve.
Yep.
I can't emphasize that enough. Here's like a really obnoxious logic question for you,
Sure.
because I love lore and things like that.
I hope I have an answer for you.
So, Invincible is essentially impenetrable, except for like the most advanced, intense weaponry ever. In your mind, how is he operated on by human beings? How can like things like needles penetrate his skin?
I just, I think that one of the things that I try to achieve with Invincible that I think is magical is to never consider those things. I think that we had a thing that they would not let me do on the show, where if you read the comic, Invincible's house makes absolutely no sense. It's like an MC Escher design. There's a door here that goes outside, but if you look at the room from the other angle, the front door's there, and so it's like, so the house is one room wide. That doesn't make any sense. And that works in comics. You can just bend reality around what is the most entertaining and what is the coolest. And I that is something that I think is kind of what makes superhero stories special. You can have someone that can fly around the world and get takeout, but you don't spend time worrying that it's going to vaporize when they move that fast. It's selectively ignoring the things that, Mark and Nolan are playing baseball, standing back to back, throwing a baseball around the circumference of the earth. How many birds did they kill? How many planes did they crash? How many avalanches did they cause? How many sonic booms that, wreaked havoc across the world in that? None, because they're just playing baseball and it's fun and it's cool. But if you start thinking about the reality of it, it drags things down. And so I think that there's a jackhammer that they have that cuts into Mark's skin, and that's what allows him to do surgery.
This is the type of stuff that keeps me up at night. Now I'm going to lose many nights worth of sleep thinking about the poor birds that died for a game of catch.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'll deal with it.
Also, if you throw a baseball that fast, it might ignite the atmosphere. Anyway, go ahead.
I could spin out of control thinking about all that, but that's what I love too. Is I love when those things aren't weighing heavily on my mind while I'm watching the show. But I like to fill in those blanks after the fact and come up with my own reasons for for why. Like he
that's
he
fun
is
fan
weak.
stuff.
Well, he's like in my mind he is weakened, and that reduces all of his powers. In which case he would need to be stitched up by human doctors, and then he would regain.
We're doing it.
I'm fine with that. I'll end with one question just to tease what everyone can look forward to in season 2. Do you have a particular favorite episode, and what can you tease about why that is your favorite episode of the new season?
Jeez. 207 maybe?
Okay.
There's a scene in 207, season 2, episode 7. Sorry, that's TV code.
Oh, no, I get it.
I apologize for anyone out there.
Our audience
but,
is with it.
Episode
They know.
7 of season 2 has, a scene that I've been dying to adapt from the comics into the show, and it's just I can't wait for people to see the way that we changed it, because it couldn't be done in the same way. I'm speaking in code now because of the way it is in the comics, and so we had to change it completely, and so we kind of had to rebirth a fan favorite iconic scene in a way that works in animation. So it's the same, but it's 100% fundamentally different. So I want to see if it has the same effect and is as beloved. So look out for that scene.
So rock solid tease right there. I'm eager to see it. I'm very grateful that I was encouraged to finally discover the show, and now I'm okay with the break between the 2 parts of season 2, because that's when I can go and discover all the source material as well.
Absolutely.
Also, so I could see the effects of changing that scene for
Yes.
207. I can't wait. Robert, huge congratulations on everything you accomplished, and also
thank you.
season 2 of this show. I cannot wait.
Thank you so much.